Somebody left me a note in the comment section the other day and they said, you know what? I can't hardly hear you. You need to turn your volume up. And I appreciate that. So I cranked up the volume and let me know if you would in the comment section. Can you hear me? Is it too loud? Not loud enough? That kind of feedback really helps a lot. And since we're talking about that, let me just throw this in. You got to keep in mind that when you give these videos a thumbs up or you leave a comment, that really helps us with the artificial intelligence on YouTube, the algorithms, and that helps us grow our channel. So if you have something constructive to say or something to add to our conversation, please let everybody know. And I usually go through and read all of them. And if you don't have a whole lot to say, just want to say thanks or hi or howdy or whatever language you speak. I guess if you're down south, you say howdy. But yeah, just say howdy and I'll say howdy back, or say thank you if you got something out of it, and I'll say you're welcome. But that actually does help, with the algorithms, and that helps get our videos out to a broader audience. All right, we want to ask this question. We want to focus on, I call it a question, we want to focus on baiting the narcissist, because one of the ways that we entrap creatures, critters, whatever, is we find out their patterns, and so we leave bait and then we trap them, right? So I've got chipmunks around my house. I'm going to have to bait some of them with probably peanut butter, because they like peanut butter. Then they'll run in the trap and I'll take them out to the woods somewhere and I'll release them. That's what I do. I'm a catch and release kind of guy. Well, what does the narcissist like, or what does he not like? And sometimes when we're setting a trap for narcissists, by the way, my approach to narcissists is kind of like their chipmunks. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just trying to stop them from tearing up the foundation of my house, stop hurting me. So my strategy toward narcissist is catch and release, or catch and take them far, far, far away, get rid of them. So, but there are some things that narcissists absolutely, positively do not like, and we're going to focus on one of those things right now, and that is narcissists do not like to be alone. Have you ever noticed that? Now stop and think about that for a second. The narcissist who is in your life right now, or was in your life in the past, one of the things you probably noticed about that person, and there may be some examples, but they tend to be very social. That is to say, they love to have people around them all the time, and there are some good reasons for that. So, reason number one is they don't like to be alone, because when you are alone, you tend to force yourself into a position where you have to think introspectively. So you're all by yourself, and you're thinking, your mind is thinking about who you really are. Narcissus looked into the pond or whatever, and he saw his reflection, and he fell in love with himself, and he stared at it so long, I think he fell in and drowned, if I remember the story right. Well, a narcissist does much the same thing. He sits back and he begins introspection, and he's just really proud of himself. He's thinking of all the people he scammed and how he fooled people and how savvy he or she is. But it doesn't stop there. Eventually they have to confront who they really are, and who they really are. They're not as attractive as they think they are. They're not as savvy as they think they are. They're not as smart as they think they are. And what happens is they drown, like narcissists did. They drown in their own thoughts, just self-reflecting, and it gets the best of them. Well, the way to avoid that from a narcissist perspective is avoid yourself, Don't be with yourself. They don't like themselves. Well, at least the narcissists that I have met, they really don't like who they are. So if you don't like somebody, you try to get away from them. But if the person you don't like is yourself, how do you get away from yourself? Well, you go to be around other people, so it distracts you from you. And then you could put on this false face, you could put on this pretend story, you could put on this fake narrative, you could put on a play, and other people, as you become really good at this, and narcissists are very good at it. They're charismatic, they're charming, they're very superficial in that, but nonetheless people believe it, and they adore them sometimes. So they tend to have a cult following. That's point number two. Number one is they think introspectively when they're alone. And so number 2 is they have a cult following. What was that guy's name? Charlie Manson. Yeah, he had a family. He had this group of people around him who basically worshipped him. He was charismatic, obviously, bad guy, but he was charismatic, and they just saw through all his badness because, he made him feel good. To me, that is so weird. That is so strange. But if you stop and think about any cult leader ever, they all have that same trait about them. They're charismatic, and people adore them. And they get feedback from the praise and adoration and that worship that feeds their ego, boosts their ego. By the way, we call that supply. Anything that inflates the ego of a narcissist, that is supply. So one of the reasons narcissists don't like to be alone is, where do they get their supply from? They can't get it from themselves. Now, normal people, typical people, we like to have people compliment us if we do something well, maybe compliment us if we're having a bad hair day so we don't have to feel bad about having a bad hair day. All my days are bad hair days. But that's beside the point. Everyone likes that, but still, we also like to be alone sometimes. We can be stressed out and just overloaded by being around people all the time. So, sometimes we like to get out in the woods, take a walk. Maybe we go middle of the day, go get a hamburger or something just to get away, go take a drive. We like to be alone. Sometimes at night, we like to lay in bed and just think and let our thoughts wander. Not the narcissist. They absolutely positively hate that, again, because they're looking in the mirror at themselves, and eventually they're going to fall in. And they're going to have to confront who they really are. Number 3, one of the reasons they love to be around people and they don't want to be alone, as we kind of already mentioned this, is the group, even if they're not expressly or explicitly praising the narcissist, implicitly. The fact that they listen to the narcissist. And the narcissist knows that. The fact that the narcissist influences their thinking. The fact that he can smear other people in the presence of this group, whatever the group happens to be, and they believe him and they become his or her flying monkeys. Yeah, that's a big ego boost for them. That is supply. So they like the group avoiding themselves because it gives them supply, it gives them praise and worship. I was going to say honor, but changed my mind. Number 4 is the group affirms a narcissist narrative, affirms his or her fairy tale. And the fairy tale is usually that the narcissist is much, much, much better than he or she really is. So they don't have to look at that mirror any longer deep into the water until they fall in, realizing who they really are. So they have put together this narrative that is just really sometimes bizarre, but not so much that it's not believable. Some of the things I've heard narcissists say really are unbelievable. And some people, they don't believe what the narcissist is saying. I mean, I had a narcissist in my life who was endowed with conspiracy theories. I didn't believe him, but I believed he believed it. And that part of the story, I was duped. I don't think he believed any of it now in hindsight, but that was enough to keep me on the line, so to speak. So they like the group because the group will believe their fairy tales, believe their narrative, believe their story, and that just affirms them. Sometimes narcissists will tell themselves lies until they believe the lies. That, by the way, is a thought reform technique. Number 5, the group allows the narcissist to apply his talents. The more you're around the group, the more you learn to control the group. Yeah, that's the talent of the narcissist. What is a narcissist? What is his or her talent? He's a puppeteer. We talk about that a lot. He pulls the strings on other people, and he likes to watch them jump and dance and do whatever he says, and he thinks he's totally amazing. Now, not literal strings, obviously, but the things he says, the way he behaves, and he's got all these people on strings. Well, eventually, no one lasts forever. And most people may last a couple of years at the most, but he loses his people, and he's got to keep the group around constantly so he can replace the supply that he lost. Number 6 is this. Narcissists tend to get stressed when they're alone. I guess we already made that clear, didn't we? Well, I don't know about you, but I get stressed when I'm in a group. I can't wait to get alone. I don't care what the group is. If it's grocery shopping, I usually go grocery shopping 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday when there's nobody in the store, or a few people in the store. I go to restaurants in the middle of the afternoon. We talked about that before because that's their slow time. They're busy at noon, really busy at noon. They have their lunchtime rush. They have their evening rush. But in between, there's hardly anybody in the restaurant. So you go in the restaurant, you get good service, and you can be all by yourself. You can be alone. One of the things I wanted to add to all of this that we kind of intentionally skipped over because it's really not a point, it's just an observation. But have you ever noticed, or I've noticed this with the narcissists that I've been around, is they seem to love cell phones. Not all of them. I mean, I can think of a couple exceptions, but they love cell phones. They love social media. They love interaction with other people that is not necessarily always warm bodies, but it's, pick up the telephone. Had one narcissist in my life, and I felt so sorry for this guy because he was homeless due to his narcissism, it turns out. But I knew the guy loved to talk on the telephone, and at the time, I was duped into believing this guy was my real friend, so I thought, I'm going to help this guy out. I'm going to buy him a cell phone. Well, that was dumb. And not only bought him a cell phone, but I also paid for his minutes, paid for his time. This was back in the day when that's how cell phones worked. He never said thank you. What he did is he said something to the effect that there was some other guy who could have done this, and the other guy didn't do it. Somebody had worked with before. And it's kind of like he was entitled, No thank you. Just wondered why the other guy didn't do it. Well, obviously the guy wasn't as smart as you are. Go figure. And it turns out this narcissist ran up the bill a couple times, and I wound up having to pay like $800 in over usage. Did he offer to pay me back? Nah, I told him about it, but he didn't. Well, first of all, he didn't have the cash. He's one of those guys that if he gets money, it's spent. It's gone. He can't handle money. He can complain and gripe about other people who he thinks can't handle money, but himself, no, he couldn't do it. But the point is, they tend to love social media. Again, not all of them. They love cell phones. They love sending texts. They love talking. This guy, basically, he talked nonstop. Unless he was sleeping, then he'd snore. 2 rectangles on the screen. The reason is I'm thinking maybe you want to hang out a little more. Let's chat longer than what we have been. So to do that, all you have to do is click on one of those 2 rectangles, and our conversation will keep on going. But if not, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see y'all next time.